Hello, it's Nikki. Today is a really special day for me today. I can't believe it. Today, the podcast is 4 years old. I began this project in January 2018 on the 11th, thinking, I know I want to do this, but what the heck am I doing? I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know if it would be a thing. I didn't know if people would listen. I didn't know how to connect it to iTunes. I just didn't know. I didn't know any of it. But I chose to listen to what my intuition was saying. And that was start. You will figure it out. You'll figure it out. It will all be good. But you're going to have to be brave here. You're going to have a bit of courage and go for it. And I did. And even though those first few episodes, when they went live, it was just really terrifying. And nobody really talks about that fear of, oh, hello, I can hear some beeping. Nobody really talks about that fear of being seen for the first time, of being seen in a new light, of sharing a part of you on the internet. And people just tell you to do it and just press play or press publish. And I've probably said it myself, but that is not to underestimate all of the layers, everything that goes on underneath of that. So firstly, I want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing with me what has resonated and opening a conversation with me and trusting me with the information that you've shared. And also thank you for sharing it, for spreading the word of it, because you don't have to do that. There's no incentive, unfortunately, for you to do that. So thank you. Over these last 4 years, there could be some kind of roundup post, but I'll give you the broad strokes. This podcast has supported my business in many, many different ways. Not only has it been, and I think I need to start with this, for me to create content in this way is easy. And yes, perhaps I should book a studio. I know you can hear background noise sometimes. I know sometimes the blog posts are a bit late to go up. Like, I know all of that. Don't worry. I'm fully aware of many, many of my flaws. And I'm sure people will point out additional ones as well, where I'm like, oh, yes, you're right. But in the last 4 years, I've gone from having 1 to 2 children. And in January 2018, my son was a little over, how old was he? Little over 2. And only at that time was he beginning to go to nursery, and we didn't have any childcare up until that point. And this podcast has provided such ease and flow in my audience, with my audience, to be able to talk to people in a way that I wanted to. And I've seen over the last few years how this online conversation has been really, wow, the first word that comes to mind is devastating. I think the online conversation has been devastating at times because we've assumed that people are just numbers on a spreadsheet or tallies on a whiteboard. And I think what the last 2 years especially has taught us is that there are so many ways to do business and life. There are so many different variables and circumstances and what people are going through and what they're experiencing. And it's a lot, life and business. And that pressure to keep showing up the whole time, to go bigger, to go better, to come up with things that are saying like, I did this in a fortnight. Like I just felt like everything became really elevated. And I know that the work that I do with my clients, yes, they want the results. Yes, they want to do big things. Yes, they have big dreams. But there is always, always vulnerability there. There's always fear, uncertainty, risk, sensitivity, limiting beliefs, old wounds. And that work that I do with people, I take very seriously. And I know I have a few jokes on here, and if you met me in person, I have a good sense of humour. But I also have a very serious side to me as well. And I know what it is to go for it and to hand over money to people or spend time in rooms, whether that's actually in person or virtually with my earphones in, even though I'm scared or even though I don't feel like I belong there because I'm not there yet. I know what that takes. And even though this podcast has led to amazing, amazing things, I always come back to its core. That I wanted to support people wherever they are in the world or in their head, location-wise, in their business, and meet them where they are at. So they would have access, you would have access to information that maybe you were missing, or maybe information that would help you in some way. And I knew that I wanted to talk about these tools, techniques, strategies, shifts, experiences, journeys, let's use that word as well. I knew that I didn't want to hide, and I didn't want to just give you a polished website where everything was formatted and I'd really thought about which paragraph was going where. I wanted to talk to you because that's what I would do if you were in my living room. I'd make you a cup of tea or coffee or glass of wine, whatever it was that you wanted. And we would talk in a very human way. And that's what I wanted to do on the podcast because that's what I was missing. I remember wanting to start this in 2015 and I didn't because A, I was very sleep deprived, and B, maybe I did need to wait a lot longer because I really, before I knew what I wanted, I really needed to hear again and again what I didn't want. And I didn't want to be one of those people who was just contributing to the noise and the plumping up of like, oh my God, you're amazing. No, you're amazing. Oh, that really, you know the stuff where it's all fluff, it's all egos, it's all patting each other on the back, but with no real substance underneath. My intention has always been for you to go, oh, I think I know what to do next. Or, oh, I'm going to borrow that. I'm going to see how that could, hang on my, oh, let me get my piece of paper and a pen. That's the vibe that I want to have. Sometimes there are people who go, I hadn't quite thought about that. And I didn't know it was possible for me. But maybe it isn't. Maybe it is, rather. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. It probably is. I've had people who have messaged me talking about the things that they're going to do. The bold, brave moves that maybe rock their family, rock their friendship group, rock that sense of who everybody thinks that they are. But maybe there's been something in one of the episodes that has gone, oh, I can't do this anymore. I need to leave, or I need to go, or I need to stop, or I need to start, or I need to do things differently. And for me, that is such a privilege. But yet there is also so much that I don't share on here. And that's equally important as well. Over the 4 years, I've really been refining that of what I want to share, what's available and what's not. And I invite you to do the same. Because the temptation, and maybe what online marketers would encourage you to do, is to be your authentic self to really show people who you are. And you don't have to show everybody everything. And so as much as I want to be candid and with you in this space, I'm always looking where I can to show the solution or to share what worked once I'm out the other side. There's no point me being on here crying and weeping and really going through something, because you want the solution. You want to know what to do next. Another amazing thing that I've seen is that the power of building a body of work. This body of work has been so, surprising in terms of the doors that it's opened. And there's been something about building a body of work where people have been able to get to know me, get to know what I do, my flavor, that has provided almost a tick box for them. Something that's reliable, something that I am who I say I am. And whenever I meet people, I met somebody yesterday, bizarrely, at yoga, where somebody was like, I recognize your voice. Have I listened to your podcast? And I was like, oh, maybe. And she was like, oh, you're exactly as I thought you would be. Brilliant. That's what I want. That's when you know, ooh, maybe I found my voice in this. Maybe this is feeling really good. Maybe this is connecting. It's also shortened the gap building this, because I had a business before. I had the same business. I had a thriving business before, but there's been something about this podcast and the content that I create around it that has shortened the gap. So maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I would spend days on email going back and forth and talking and chatting and thinking about options. Now my inbox is full of people saying, I'm ready. Can we do this? I listened to the episode last week. Let's go. That's what I want. Yeah, I'm ready. Equally with opportunities, with press, with collaborations, with bookings, with speaking, with me guesting on other people's. It's never been a sense of, oh, can you just prove that you are right? It's always, what's your fee? What's your availability? That's where it goes. Because there's something about showing up consistently and building that body of work, which again, I'm going to go into this a little bit more in a second, that is growing my business whilst I'm not there. So it's almost when I upload, when I create an episode, if you imagine it being a little tiny ball, the power of that ball means that it will spread far and wide, almost like a bowling ball, and everything will fall in different directions. That one ball has the power of potentially hitting 9 bowling pins. And that's the kind of marketing that I'm interested in. I'm not interested in daily vlogging or putting my children on the internet the whole time or getting out my phone in the park because I'm trying to capture family life. I want to be in family life. I don't want to be documenting it the whole time. I want to meet people and have experiences. And I know that this is far from ideal, but I want to get home and go, oh, I didn't take any pictures today. Oh no. Like that's when I know that I'm in it. That's when I know that I'm having a great time. And that is where my energy is going forward. I want to create things that are going to be useful. And this is when I'm thinking about my content, of making it accessible so people can get what they need when they need it. That is really my growth plan for this year. So people can go and visit my site or go and find the podcast elsewhere and go, oh, right, okay, I need to work on my money. Let's go into that money section. Now, all that takes time. Of course it does. But I've set the intention and it's in the mix. And so I want to ask you, what does your content strategy look like? Do you have one? Do you have ideas for it? Do you have hesitations? Do you know that you are meant to create something, but maybe you're waiting for the right time? Maybe there's fear of being seen, or imposter syndrome, or that sense of, maybe I'm not ready yet. I'm here to say that you are. And you need to create something ASAP. And not just create something like, oh, right, I better post on Instagram. What shall I put on there? My lunch? Yes, let me do that. No. What I mean is you need to start creating from that place where you really talk to people. Where you're real, of course, with boundaries, but where you show up and you say, this is what I'm all about. This is how I can help you. Can I say this information in a way that they've never heard it before? And that's when you're going to get your magic. That's when you're going to get your secret sauce, not when you're following somebody else's template and just saying, you need to be showing up on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with one blog post. That's not helpful. That's the logistics, like when do I press play? I'm interested in the work that goes beforehand. So when you share that piece of content, when you share that blog post or that podcast episode or whatever it might be, that people go, whoo, it felt like you were talking to me. It felt like that was exactly what I needed to hear today. And as we go into 2022 and beyond, that is the information that we're craving. That connection, that sense of being heard. And even though we might be talking to many, many people out there, we must have that connection. So when I have a welcoming you coaching client, for example, I'm never like, and if I say a welcoming you yoga teacher, oh, I've had a yoga teacher before. This is what we did with her. This is what I think would work for you. No, actually, I'm much more inclined to push myself, to challenge myself, to look at different ways that we can do things. Because one yoga teacher is very different from another. This is about making your content, your personal brand, all about you. And that's what's happened with this podcast. That's what I've achieved with this podcast. And I'm not very good at celebrating my own success. If you are my friends and my family listening to this, you will know that. Because I'm like, oh, no. Oh, no, it's fine. No, on to the next thing. But today I'm taking a moment to really understand what this process is. And that's where I'm more comfortable, I guess, of really looking at that data, that conversation, what people have said, what people have therefore done, rather than going, oh my gosh, I've created this podcast and it's amazing. Like that's not my vibe at all. What I'm interested in is, what does it do for people? What do people do with the information? That's what really excites me. In the beginning of this podcast, I had some really useful, helpful leg ups. Not massive ones, but people who listened, who encouraged, who helped me, who gave me half an hour of their time, who didn't laugh at me when I said that I wanted to do this. And I want to pay that forward. And now I want to do the same for you. I want to offer a series of one-on-one sessions at a reduced rate. So this is not coaching. This is an Ask Me Anything. And I want to help you one-on-one. So first of all, what I will give you is some pre-work where you can collate your thoughts, think about what you want to do, maybe what's missing. There'll be a series of questions that you can answer, and then we'll have 45 minutes together. And this is just you and I on Zoom, on WhatsApp, one of the online platforms, where we literally go through all your content ideas. You can ask me anything. You can ask me about selling. You can ask me about podcasting. You can ask me about behind the scenes of my business. You can ask me anything you can think of. I am open. You can't ask me necessarily like coaching questions because it's an Ask Me Anything session. So this is not this is not a specific coaching thing. But whether you want to create something or you want to improve your visibility, you want to sell online, you want to grow your personal brand, this is what these sessions are for. And you may have a good idea, already. Stuff might be working, but this is about tweaking and improving and not just using more energy or doing things more. This might be about maximizing it. So I really want to support you through this next process and also invite you after your 45-minute session. So I'm going to be running these in January to come to the monthly meeting at the end of January. And I'm going to be focusing that particular session on content. You also get a content workshop as well, which usually sells for 30 quid, 29 quid rather. And that's all there for you to watch very quickly as soon as you log in. But January is really about setting the tone for your voice, setting the tone of like, what am I here to say? How can I say it in a really clear, communicative way where my ideal client is actually going to get what I mean? So I'm going to leave all the details down below of how you can book one of those sessions. What you need to do is just go over to my website, follow the link, make your payment, and then you get the login details of anything, and then all the instructions of how to book your session. And I'll be in touch anyway, and we'll book that in as well. So we can really create a content plan. You can also record the session as well. So if you want to come back to it, you absolutely can. It's there whenever you need it as well. Now, of course, because it's only one of me and this is one-on-one work, there is limited availability. So if you get this today, on Tuesday, the 11th of January, jump on it, because this is the day where there'll be the most amount of spots. And as we go through the month, obviously there'll be less and less. And this is only running until the end of January, because there's other exciting stuff that is coming, which I will be unable to announce very soon. Come on. Can you see I'm willing it? So this is only available until the end of January. So get in touch. Let's have a session and let's work out what your next plans are, and not just sit on the ideas and then watch somebody else do it or think, oh no, I'm doing stuff that doesn't feel good, because you know that that's what I'm all about. Anyway, the link is down below. Just go over, book your session, and then all of the stuff that you need is inside Podia, so you'll get access to things once you make the payment. And I can't wait. I can't wait to speak to you. Thank you. Thank you once again for being with me. If you've just arrived, hello. And if you've been with me for the last 4 years or 3 years or 2 years, I'm really, really grateful for that. So sending you lots of love and look forward to many more episodes in the future. Thank you. Bye.